Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arkademy Online. This is Bella from Arc Global Placements. So Arkademy Online is here to basically help you excel in your interviews as you start engaging with potential employers. So please feel free to use this platform. I always say that I am available on my email info@arcglobalplacements.com if you wish to ever get in touch or maybe jump on a call so we can help you prepare for that next interview. We are recording, or I am recording from Mauritius as we speak, and yeah, it's just been really great to be able to be in this space and be able to create the content that I have in the last couple of days. So the whole idea is to cover all areas of recruitment so that whatever stage you are in recruitment, you'll be able to find some useful material that'll be able to help you as you engage with potential employers. Now, over the last couple of videos, we have been talking about the different types of questions you can expect in interviews and how best to answer those questions. We have spoken a lot about the salary question. We've spoken about counter offers and reasons for leaving. If you have not watched those videos, I'd suggest you go and watch them now because they'll just give you a better perspective in terms of what goes on behind the scenes when those questions are asked. Today, we're going to be talking about resignations. All right, so I feel like we have kind of like almost covered the full recruitment life cycle, and now it's up to you now to make sure everything happens, right? So the recruiter has done their work, they've gotten you that offer, and now it's time for you to go and inform your people that, you know what, it's been great, it's time for me to leave. But it's very important how you handle that process, all right? So what I always advise as well is maybe firstly, when it comes to resignations, all right, before you even go and talk to your manager about resigning, you need to make sure that you are actually leaving, okay? And one of the ways of making sure that you have made up your mind is by basically making a decision before resigning. That is by accepting the offer that you have received from your recruiter or your potential employer before you go and resign. So the reason I suggest you do that first is because I always feel once you have committed, especially if you are a reputable person, if you have committed already to your next employer, chances are you will stick to your word. And one way of showing that you have committed is by signing your offer and sending it back to your next employer. And therefore you are declaring that, you know what, I am in this, I will be starting with you in the next month, and you're not leaving any room to for counter offers and stuff like that. You've made up your mind. So the first step is to make sure that you are leaving and make a decision and sign your offer before you go and talk to your manager. So now you've done all of that and it's time for you to go and engage with your managers. I always feel that, these types of conversations need to be had face to face. You need to clearly outline the reasons why you are leaving, so that your company also has a better picture in terms of maybe if there's something they can change for future employees, or how they can make the environment better if there was issues along those lines. But if it's growth related, I'm assuming that by the time you get to the resignation space, if you listen to my videos before, I talk about, especially that video on reasons for leaving, I talk about how you need to make your company aware before you even put yourself in the market, right? Make your company aware of some of the concerns or the worries you have or the reason why you're considering leaving. And I think by that point, there is kind of like, it's not a surprise that you are leaving because you've already had the conversations with them, and unfortunately they couldn't do anything for you. All right, they couldn't do anything to make the situation better for you at the end of the day. So by the time you get to this point, it's not always ideal. Obviously, you don't always want to raise any red flags, but Depending on the type of relationship you have with your employer, I would say that, at this point, it's probably not even going to be a surprise. But I do understand that, candidates like to keep their confidentiality when it comes to these things. You don't want to jeopardize the status of your employment by making your company aware that you are in the market. But I feel like the market has also changed recently. I'm coming across more and more candidates who have mentioned that, my employer is actually aware that I'm in the market. They have told me to obviously take my time and, whenever I find the right opportunity, I must go for it. And so that can be a good or bad thing, right? Because obviously, if you're a good employee, you want your company to you want them to fight for you. But also at the same time, I do acknowledge that, there are situations where what you are really looking for, or the growth or the project exposure you're looking for, your company is just not able to give that to you at that point in time. So you need to, so then that's when you kind of like play open cards with them, and they still value you for the time that you are with them, but they are also aware that, anytime you could walk in and resign. But I think the biggest thing with, resigning is obviously clearly outlining the reasons why you are leaving. And if it is a surprise to them, just mention to them, obviously, what you've noticed or how your experience has been in a very nice way. Don't burn bridges, guys. A lot of people, they leave on a bad note, not realizing that actually, this company actually paid your bills, for the last 5 years or 7 years or 10 years that you've been there. I know that, no company is perfect. There will always be issues here and there that needs to be sorted. But at the end of the day, whether it works out or not in a employee-employer relationship, at the end of the day, you guys needed each other for that period of time, and therefore when it's time to leave, I strongly believe that you need to leave on a good note. And one of the ways of showing that is obviously by showing that you are thankful for the opportunity, the opportunity that they awarded you for the last however many years. And then also serve your notice, all right? I've come across people in the industry who have just jumped ship without serving notice, and that is a very bad reflection of you. When you joined that company, you signed a contract that should you leave, you will serve a notice of a calendar month or 3 months or whatever, And also when you are going into a new company, you want to make sure that that chapter is closed, all right? You don't want people still coming after you looking for information or whatever. You want to properly serve your notice, properly hand over to the next person that's taking over your work, and then close that chapter. If you can, even take a little bit of a break and then move into your next role. So that is one of the ways of showing that you do value the agreement that you've had, and that you're going to see it all the way through to the end. You're not just going to leave them and hope for the best kind of vibes. And whenever that happens, I always question, unfortunately, the character of the person, because if you committed to something, you have to stick to it. That's just what I strongly believe. Now, when you abscond, for example, it does give that bad reflection of the person, and then you've lost a good reference, so it's 5 years that have just gone down to waste, because whenever people call your employer to find out why did this person leave, there'll always be that bitter feeling about, how this person left, and even if your work at this company was good, so you always have to make sure that you leave on a good note. And you must also remember, guys, that, and I don't know if it's a fear or what, and I see this quite a lot with the young people, where they get a job and they immediately want to jump ship, and they forget about their obligation to their current employer. And I think people need to know that companies will wait for you. Companies are aware that you have to work a notice, okay? And sometimes companies will try and put a lot of pressure on you to see how soon you can start. And I believe that is an unfair expectation from your next employer. And if your company is forcing you to do that, to not work your notice or to come and join them immediately without serving your notice, then I need to question the character and the I need to question the motives of that company. If things were turned around and it was them, you were leaving, they would want you to work a notice. So I think you need to remember that companies will wait for you. And I know this for a fact because also, especially in the industry that I operate in, I think it's such a scarce skill that companies will wait for a person, even if it means 3 months waiting for this person to start, because there isn't an influx of that kind of skill in the industry. So they would rather allow you to finish off whatever you want to finish off at your previous company and then join them on a clean slate. So you are not going to lose your offer by working your notice period. You are not going to lose your offer. Your offer will still stand. And in fact, if you do lose it, then that calls for I think some legal attention, because it is a contract that you would have signed at that point, I'm assuming. But anyway, so sorry, I derailed a bit, but I wanted to talk about resignation. Firstly, making sure that you are you want to leave, number one, accepting your offer before resigning, therefore committing to your next employment, being thankful, serving your notice, handing over properly, and then leaving on a good note and not burning your bridges. That's the most important. In terms of how to resign, obviously I always advise that you have a face-to-face conversation with your manager, outlining the reasons why you're leaving, and then also wishing them well in their future endeavors. And you can follow that up with an email or with a letter. Actually, you need to do that just to have it on record that you have resigned, and then for them also to be able to process their HR, whatever legal stuff that they need to do after you resign. So the best thing is, obviously during those conversations, I've noticed also over the years that companies can start using emotions to try and make you feel guilty for leaving. They will mention things like, we had such big plans for you, or we were planning to give you an increase or a raise or a better position or a better project and all of that. And honestly, I feel, especially if you have spoken to them before about the fact that you are not happy with the work you're doing or the projects you're working on, for them to only come to the party when you resign, I feel that, again, that's also questionable. Okay. Now, so you just have to be careful. Like, guys, you have to remember that this is your career. Okay. It is your career. It's not your company's career. It's your career. So whatever decisions you make directly affect you as an individual, whether you decide to stay or whether you decide to leave. It is you that's being impacted. You are the one that has to make a decision, not your company. Your company can't make a decision for you as to where you should go in terms of your career. So it's just something that you always have to keep in mind. And I'm sure, and then everything will go well, I believe. Once you've resigned, take the time to hand over, document everything that needs to be documented for the next person that's going to be working in your role. So that's all I wanted to just share for today, just with regards to resignations. All right. And I will say this again, I've said this again before, that, the minute you accept an offer, your next employer literally stops the employment process. They declined candidates who had also been interviewed for this role because they chose you as an individual. Now, for you, if you are going to entertain counter offers after resignation and after accepting the offer, that really puts your next employer in a very bad position. And I think one of the things to think about when you do that is that now you've actually robbed another candidate of the opportunity. You've robbed them of the opportunity to work there, because you've accepted and then now you're declining, but that candidate's already been declined, and therefore it's difficult to say we are declining you and then after that you say, oh no, we're not declining you anymore. We just don't do that. Okay. Just think about your decisions and how they affect the people around you at the end of the day. And but I hope that was helpful. I really hope that was helpful. And again, I am available if you ever want to jump on a call to discuss how to go about it. If you are looking for some resignation templates, we've got those things available for you to utilize as well when you go and resign. And reach out to us on info@outglobalplacements.com if you ever want to jump on a call, if you ever need some help preparing for interviews. It's a free service that we offer at Our Global Placements, so I do encourage you guys to really make use of it. But you have a lovely day further. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.